Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, hang out with these nerds.
Nathan Nerdark.
Nerdark is Ted.
Use these feats if you want to become a more powerful battle mage.
Jump down to the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter. It's a great way to get gaming tips as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
So we've been looking through the player's handbook at the feats section, if you're using the optional rules, and we're discussing making a war mage or sorcerer as the case may be, and we were looking at some of the feat selections that you may not have necessarily thought of that can combine kind of nicely.
Indeed. Now, I mean, there's the obvious Warcaster, Spell Sniper, and Elemental Adept that scream, hey, I'm a useful feat for a spellcaster.
I'm a battle mage.
Mage. But, there's some things that once you start going down that road, that's like, hey, this is actually something that is useful, or this is something I should wind up getting.
For instance, unfortunately, you lose a lot of the value of it, but Crossbow Expert is really good if you find that you're going to be in the face of the enemy and you don't want to get a disadvantage on your attack rolls. That allows you to make a ranged attack roll up close and personal. And we found some other places where it also becomes useful as well.
Indeed. Mm-hmm. Now, the one that you kind of stumbled across was Sentinel. And it says, you've mastered the technique to take advantage of every drop in an enemy's guard, gaining the following benefits. Now, when you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, the creature's speed becomes 0 for the rest of the turn. That one's not going to come up all that often. But creatures provoke attacks of opportunity from you even if they take the disengage action before leaving your reach. Alright, that's possible.
And there's actually a bunch of critters like goblins and kobolds that get that as an ability, so they would think nothing of using that against you.
Yeah, like, right. I'm going to run in and slap this wizard and I'm going to book it. And get slammed.
When a creature within 5 feet of you makes an attack against a target other than you, and the target doesn't have this feat, you can use your reaction to make a melee weapon attack against the attacking creature. Most mages walk around with a staff or a rod or something that they would be able to swing. You're going to get to do some damage while they're flitting about in and around you.
Right, or if you're a dwarf or an elf, you're proficient in a decent weapon. You have that at your beck and call. If you happen to have the tradition, bladesinger becomes way more useful.
Absolutely.
And of course, we wouldn't even think about taking Sentinel without first taking Warcaster.
Right.
And Warcaster is going to give us several benefits.
So, Warcaster, you have advantage on Constitution saving throws that you take to maintain concentration on a spell when you take damage. An absolute must for any spellcaster, war mage. You can perform the somatic component of spells even when you have a weapon or shield in one or both hands. And when a hostile creature's movement provokes an opportunity attack from you, you can use your reaction to cast a spell at the creature rather than making an opportunity attack. The spell must have a casting time of 1 action and must only target that one creature.
So the real nice thing about that combo of Warcaster and Sentinel is when those goblins come up and hit you and they try and get away, you can blast them with a cantrip spell rather than no resource spender for you, and way better than just slapping them with a D8 swing from your staff. So.
Right.
Yeah. So it can help nail your opponents down. Now, another combination that works with those two as well. Also, the Crossbow Expert ties into these as well because we're also talking about using a plethora of spells, which may or may not require attack rolls. If they require attack rolls, then you're not going to want to have disadvantage. So Crossbow Expert comes in handy. The biggest problem that we're running into now is we need a lot of feats, to pull this off. But the one that Nate had brought up was, what if your battle mage is actually part of the counter mage division in this war?
Yeah, you don't normally want to get Mage Slayer, but in this instance, it's pretty nice because when your creature within 5 feet of you casts a spell, you can use your reaction to make an attack. And then...
again, combine that with Warcaster.
Yeah, and when you damage a creature that is concentrating on a spell, a creature has a disadvantage on the save. So that, damages. Doesn't say with anything. It's just if they receive damage from you. So fireball the sucker, get all of his friends, and he's got to do disadvantage on a save. And you also get advantage on your saving throws against creatures casting spells within 5 feet. So if you're that type of bladesinger or in-your-face mage, or you just happen to have the unfortunate incident where you run into another mage while you're on the field of battle, you can still you get advantage on saving throws, which is actually a benefit. Maybe you just want to actually run into combat at that point if there's a spellcaster.
Well, 5th edition does offer up different ways of being a battle mage and really kind of gishing whether you're a fighter, right? Eldritch Knight, which a lot of these would work really well for, and the fighter gets the most feats, so it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, it's less
to get off
to try and get all those.
A mountain dwarf actually has proficiency with certain martial weapons and medium heavy armor. I mean, medium and light armor. An elf also gets some martial weapon proficiencies to combine this with, or you just go bladesinger.
Right.
So there's a lot of cool ways you could do it. Now, if you're going with a more wizard, then you might want to look at the resilient feat, because one of the ideas with this caster is you're gonna probably have to make concentration checks a little bit more often.
Expect to be hurt
because you're getting in the thick of it.
So having that good con saving throw is going to be really useful.
And I mean, if you're going to be making those dice rolls, one can never fail to overlook the lucky feat.
Yes, lucky is always useful. You know, whether you want to gain whether you want to use disadvantage to gain super advantage, whether you just want to re-roll a bad roll. So yeah, so lucky comes in useful for you re-rolling your rolls, whether it's a concentration check, attack roll, or whatever you need to do. But 3 times a day you get that.
So as a warcaster, I was thinking, wouldn't it be really cool if you could use some of the stranger feats in here for it, like we showed Sentinel and Warcaster together, but also Martial Adept. At first, it's kind of like what?
I mean, if you go Bladesinger, then I mean you know. There's no holds barred, no holding back. Everything is going to be really useful for you.
What's the cool thing about it is there's several maneuvers you can choose that have nothing to do with a melee weapon at all, and are actually either more defensive, reduce the damage you're going to take, or in general help out an ally.
Right. So if especially if you're going Sorcerer with this one, Rally, because it's going to add your charisma modifier to the roll. So that one is really good.
And what's that give him?
It's your superiority die plus your charisma modifier in bonus or temporary hit points to an ally. You got evasive footwork, which is really good for maneuvering around the battlefield. A fainting attack, it allows you to use your bonus action to be like, oh, hey, here's this thing. Now, this is one that you're going to want to be careful because you do have to make your attack within 5 feet of them, but it doesn't say a melee weapon attack. Go ahead and cast that cantrip with it. And then the last one is parry, which allows you to just subtract damage. Doesn't say you need to be holding a shield or a weapon. It just says you reduce the damage.
Yeah, by superiority dice plus your dex modifier.
Right off the bat, there's several things that I can think of that kind of play with these different builds that you can do. Bard of Valor, Blade Lock. You can go Eldritch Knight. You can go Bladesinger. Those are the ones that are already more martial, and if you wanted to kind of like up the ante with those, adding these definitely helps. And then again, a sorcerer, elven sorcerer is going to give you martial weapons. Dwarven sorcerer could give you weapons and armor. So there's definitely a lot of different ways that you can play with these builds. Are they all optimal? No, but it's just a fun way to do something different with magic.
What about Elemental Monk?
That is also another way.
Because they do spell casting of sorts.
They technically do. Yeah, they actually do cast spells. They just cost them Kai points to do. And most of those things would work for them. And the nice thing about being a monk, you have martial arts, so you're technically always armed.
That's true.
So yeah, there's definitely some different interesting ways that you can build basically, the battle, quote unquote, battle mage.
What did we miss? What did you guys how do you use battle magic in your games? Put your comments down below. While you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Check us out over at nerdarchy.com.
While you're there, check out the sweet swag at the store.
So until next time, stay nerdy.